Hey guys, how's it going? Today, I'm going to be featuring the Pyoter Bagration, the Tier 7 premium Russian cruiser that was just buffed in the recent update by giving it a better reload, slightly more HP, and giving it a radar consumable. It is a Russian radar, so it does reach out to 11.7 kilometers and lasts for 20 seconds. In this simple build, using Gunichi Mikawa as the inspiration, I'm able to get a stealth radar fairly easily. Our friendly divmate tries to torpedo this Jervis and does end up torpedoing another enemy destroyer that was behind him. And we are able to kill off the Jervis relatively quickly. Still being spotted, we know there's one more ship and there's actually an enemy Udachi here, so I use my radar and spot him. And having my sonar active, I am able to spot these torpedoes. However, this ship is fairly sluggish with its rudder, and I accidentally overturn and eat one of these torpedoes. The enemy Udachi does actually end up beaching and smoking up right in front of us at the other island, and I just keep pushing forward and get him permanently spotted by my sonar. I push in and I just start shooting him and he does go down. There was an enemy battleship that was spotted in front of us and it was an Iowa. There is also an enemy cruiser, which is the Miyoko, and since he's sailing broadside, I switch to this AP, and the AP shells perform very much like the Talon, where it has very good penetration, and I'm able to land a couple citadels on this Miyoko. I do need to be really careful with this enemy Iowa, because if he does start focusing us, his shells will simply overmatch and chunk us for so much HP. We do have an icebreaker, so being citadel through the bow is less likely, but the full pens will still hurt. This Miyoko is still charging in and sailing broadside, so I'm just going to keep shooting him with AP. The Pyoter's guns are fairly consistent, so you can quite often land citadels on cruisers that sail broadside, very much like the Talon. These guns also feel slightly better than the Riga, being more accurate, having a faster reload, and still keeping the good penetration, being able to citadel cruisers at range. The only downside compared to the Riga really is the armor, because the Riga has some pretty impressive casemate armor, and also has only an overmatchable bow, whereas the Pyoter is overmatchable pretty much across the entire ship. Now, after these buffs to the Pyoter, I definitely think it's a very good cruiser. Before, it was an okay cruiser, however it did lack utility and the DPM to compete with a lot of the other Russian cruisers, and really the other cruisers from other nations like the Wichita and Baltimore. But now, with this improvement to the guns, I definitely see it being a lot more competitive against those other cruisers. Also, having the lower caliber of gun that the Pyoter has, which is 180 millimeters, it means that you are less likely to overpen on armor since it does require less to arm compared to ships like the Riga. For reference, the Pyoter needs 30 millimeters in order to arm an AP shell, whereas the Riga needs 37 millimeters. Both will still overpen the lower tier battleships like the Colorado that have 25 millimeter upper belts, but they are less likely to overpen with the slightest of angles since angling does change the armor thickness. This Iowa, sailing away, is relatively angled and shooting the AP at the upper belt. We are getting some pretty consistent pens even though he is slightly angled because this improved penetration. The flat arcs of the shells do make it a little difficult to lob islands, and I am able to do so here. Our friendly mines in the cap is starting to get focused there, and I don't want to just hang him out there to dry and be focused and killed off, so I do push out and try to give the Iowa something else to think about. Something I did not think about when pushing out is the fact that the Iowa moving to the left actually does go behind an island and the mines does go unspotted, which means that I am now the only thing spotted and going to be the only thing focused now. Staying behind that island and not getting spotted was definitely the better play, but I didn't think about the mines going unspotted behind the island at the time, and now this Iowa is turning all of his guns to shoot at me, so I do slow down and turn in order to try and juke some of his shells. Unfortunately, 2 pens and 1 overpin, that was 10,000 damage, which does absolutely hurt even though we tried our best to angle. Riga in that situation would definitely not have eaten that much damage because of the armor being so impressive. However, the Iowa did turn broadside, and me switching to AP, he definitely did pay for that mistake. The Azuma division that was on the other flank along with their destroyer has somehow managed to kill off our entire team that was on that side, and the game is now much more even with a 4 versus 3. We do have a friendly battleship that was behind us the entire time, and he is full HP. Communicating with our friendly destroyer, he says his RPF is pointing towards Charlie, which is down to the south, so that is the side that he decides to go towards. I do start also following him in order to provide him with radar, since the Maz does have smoke and sonar combo, which if he does somehow get caught, he will definitely need the help in order to kill him off. Those 2 Azumas are also still unspotted, and we aren't really sure where they are, so we don't really want to just push out there and then throw our ships away running face first into an enemy division. As we push closer, our RPF is flipping more towards the left, so we do know that the closest ship is on that side, and if the enemy Azumas are also pushing that way, then we will have these islands to use as cover to disengage if we need to. The cap does start getting contested, and with our friendly division mate getting into the cap and nothing being spotted, we do know it's the Maz. I communicate with him saying that my radar does cover the cap since I can see my detection circle reaches the other side, and my radar being further than my detection, I know that he is within radar range. If he goes unspotted, I can definitely use my radar in order to spot him and help my teammate out. The Maz does start turning away, slowing down, and does eventually start smoking up after losing all of his HP. I do pop my radar as soon as he goes undetected, and I fire one last salvo at him, and he does go down. The enemy Maz torpedoes get spotted by my sonar, and the ship does definitely handle like a brick. The rudder is pretty bad, and I am able to dodge these torpedoes unlike the Yudachi torps earlier since they were so much faster. Now we're on 4 kills, and there is still 2 enemy ships left, and I am hunting a Kraken. I am debating whether or not to try and YOLO them, or to simply wait here and try to get some AP into their broadsides as they push our friendly mites. I do push up as close as I can to the island because I am the only one with torpedoes, and if they want to push, they will have to push into my torpedoes. If they decide to just sit there, then we will simply win on points. Again, this is a good example of making the enemy play into your hands instead of simply going into theirs. Pushing up to this island, I do catch one of the Azumas with my sonar in the final seconds. However, catching him with my sonar, they also pop theirs, and I get spotted in return. These 2 Azumas are still pushing forward, and I do make the decision to go and YOLO them with the torpedoes that I have. Our friendly cruiser that was shooting at them, I probably could have waited a little longer to see if these Azumas did shoot our friendly cruiser to try and make sure that they didn't chunk me for so much HP. That first Azuma does hit me very hard, and I pop my heal. I am left with just over 2000 HP, but now the Azumas have a very long reload, and they're not going to be able to do anything. I launch my torps for that first Azuma, and I'm able to finish off the second, getting a double strike and partially completing one of those hard mode missions from this update. So far, I'm really liking the buffs to this ship, and I think I will probably be playing it a whole lot more than I did before because now it does have radar and a lot more team utility. Now in the end score, I did 126,000 and secured a Kraken medal. I was also able to finish off that one hard mode mission that I need to get a double strike, or well, 2 double strikes to complete the mission. I also did 3,200 base XP with 6 kills. The Pyoter is definitely a very good cruiser now and is going to be competing against the top cruisers at the tier like the Baltimore and Riga. The commander that I used was my pretty typical Russian commander, which is Nikolai Kuznetsov, and I go with the range build with intuitive, punch through, and fixated, trying to get as much accuracy as I can, along with inspirations Norman Scott and Gunichi Mikao for that little bit of concealment in order to get a stealth radar. But that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Do leave a like and subscribe for more, and leave a comment down below for any ships you want to see in the future. But until next time, aloha.